Right, thanks for staying with us on BizTalk. If you have any comments, you can email us at biztalk@bernama-tv.com, or you can tweet us at biztalk502, or you can call us right now at 0326937008. Right, our topic for this week is Malaysia economy towards 2020. And to discuss more on this matter, it is my honour and pleasure to introduce to you Yang Berbahagia Tansri Navaratnam, the chairman of the Asian Strategy and Leadership Institute, or also known as Asli, for the Centre of Public Policy Studies, as our guest for this week. Thank you for being here with us on BizTalk.
Good to be here, yeah.
Right. And a little bit introduction on Tansri, which, you know, whoever doesn't still know who Tansri is. And this is what I found on Wikipedia. Tansri Dr. Raymond Navaratnam is a prominent Malaysian economist. He is the former Transport Ministry Secretary General and currently Sunway Group Corporate Advisor. And he is also a member of the Malaysian Institute of Management and the President of Transparency International Malaysia. Is that right? And okay, Tansri, could you tell us what is it that you do as a chairman there at Asli of the Centre of Public Policy Studies?
Thank you. Good to be here.
Okay.
But let me make one correction at the outset. I was President of Transparency International.
I see. Okay.
Wikipedia got to be updated.
Right. Okay.
I'm chairman of the Centre of Public Policy Studies.
Okay.
We make it our business to follow socio-economic political developments, particularly the economic side, to be able to understand the evolution of the economy, the development of the economy, and to make commentaries on them.
Right.
That's why I write from time to time in the press, and we have conferences and workshops and roundtables, and we assemble material and make recommendations to government.
Right.
And we send these policy recommendations to government for their consideration.
Okay.
Quite often they are adapted in some way or other.
Right.
It's a question of timing and time, but we feel we try and play a role to help government formulate policies,
especially towards the economy, right?
Yeah.
On BizTalk, you know, for throughout the year, we've actually followed the National Key Economic Areas and the Economic Transformation Program, where it is under the purview of Pemandu. And right now we have a package from Professor Farida of the UiTM of Business Faculty to speak on Pemandu's functionality. Let's take a look.
Okay, Pemandu is actually the Performance Management Delivery Unit. They have their role to play. They do all the, I would say, monitoring of our performances. A few things that I can quote over here would be like, for example, career of the people. What about? They also look into the how to minimize corruptions and many others, social illnesses. They look into the ETP that I've mentioned just now, the Economic Transformation Program, all the key areas that has been set, whether we achieve it and what more to do for those who are not high achievers. And other than that, we look into the government transformation plan, the program, or they call it GTP. And so these Pemandu are actually, they do check and balance both for the public sector as well as the private sector. Although the government actually is looking into the contribution of the private sector, but I feel the government sector, the public sector also plays an important role over here in order to work together and contribute to the country in many forms. Because the reflection, the image of the country does not depend on one sector and not the other. It has to be a combination of both.
Right. Before we go to the report on the second year of ETP, let's talk about Pemandu. From your point of view, what is the significance of Pemandu towards the economy?
I think Pemandu has played a very significant role in getting the economy move.
Okay.
Don't forget, we are what they call in a middle income trap.
Okay.
And I think Pemandu has helped to break many bottlenecks. There is now greater focus on our comparative advantage in terms of the big projects.
Right. When you say bottlenecks,
Yeah.
what kind of bottlenecks that we had before?
Well, we have been well known worldwide by the World Bank, IMF, ADB, Islamic Development Bank, and professional economists, well known for our policies.
Okay.
But implementation has lagged. Not from the beginning. I think we had a better implementation capacity before.
Okay.
But it has weakened, maybe because we have been much more elaborate in our planning, covering more extensive areas, but our capacity has weakened.
And you're talking about 10 years back or currently?
10, 20 years back,
Okay.
I think we were better off. But, you know, the Pemandu has helped now to try and reinstate that capacity to be able to implement better. But there are still major weaknesses.
Right.
So what Dr. Farida says, I agree, and Dr. Nazri too, it indicates that the economy is moving forward. The stock market is doing better. The index is 1,700 perhaps by the end of the year. So it's upbeat and it reflects the economy, which is registering, I think for this year, 5% growth.
Right.
And if you compare it to Singapore and other countries around us, these are facts, you know. This is not my judgment. We are way ahead. And that is because I think the government has been pump priming.
Right.
The government has been pushing these projects. And you have the investment, both domestic and foreign investment coming in. I think Pemandu has achieved maybe about 71% already
Okay.
of its target of
29 billion.
29 billion, you're right. Now that is commendable. And I don't think that would have been possible if not for the push and the drive of people like Dato Sri Rijala, of course under the inspiration and guidance of the PM.
Right.
The Prime Minister, I understand, chairs the steering committee which reviews all these projects. So if there's a bottleneck, to go back to your question, if there's a bottleneck, something is not moving, somebody has his own ideas, you might have some little Napoleons around.
Right.
And these chaps are not so little.
Yes.
When they cause a problem, it can be a major problem.
Right.
And people get tired and fed up because we must not forget that we are competing with the world.
Yes.
Bukan macam katak bawa tempurung, you know. We cannot be the jago in the village field. You know? So when you find these kind of problems, or if the policy is not correct, or if the officials are not handling it properly, or if there's delay due to corruption or tendencies for corruption, then the news goes quickly up to Pemandu.
Yes.
And Pemandu is made up mostly of private sector people.
And you've seen
Or at least
this.
half and half.
You've seen this.
I've seen them, I know the guys, I talked to many of them, and they are very enthusiastic, very keen, young blood, and they have the backing of the government, and the government listens. Because if they don't, then, you know, they can't achieve their own objectives. And this reminds me of Tun Razak's time, when you have the implementation unit, ICU, Implementation Coordination Unit. So directly under PM. And he would use the red book, Tun Razak. He would use the red book, the operation room, and go anywhere in his helicopter and say, look, this project you told me was on, let's go and see it. They say, yes, it's on, never mind, don't go and see. No, I want to see.
Okay.
And he goes there, he says, God, the bridge is not complete.
Right.
The path is not, bridle path is not ready. So what do you tell me that? the fear of Moses got into the whole civil service.
Right.
I remember that.
Right.
I was there
You were
then.
there.
And things moved. So you need that kind of supervision.
Right. So what happened in between that? Why did we suddenly, just turn off from that kind of improvement?
Well, I have to be frank here, but stop me if you don't like to hear it.
Okay.
But we have increasingly moved away from meritocracy.
Right.
And I think we've got into mediocrity. And when you have that, and at the same time you have high targets of accomplishment, of achievement, challenges, greater competition, no doubt, worldwide, because we are an open economy, about 18-20%. We are 18 or 20 in terms of world trading, and you got into heavy seas. No more in your perahu, along the beach or coastal waters. We are going out to the sea, and there you have lots of big boats to compete with. Small fish can be eaten by sharks, and so we have to be on the ball.
Right.
And so our capacity, I think, has weakened. This is what I said earlier. So with Pemandu, with private sector people and very bright chaps being chosen, I think it has helped push it.
Right.
My only problem about Pemandu is, and I've said it before to friends privately and publicly, they're doing a great job, but very project orientated.
Right.
And as an economist, I'd like to see the overall picture.
Okay.
See the macro picture.
Which
What is
includes?
happening, for example, to our structural changes? Well, we can move on like this with projects, but to support the projects, you need good personnel, trained personnel, professionals. You can't afford the brain drain we're having. We cannot have the private capital outflow.
Right.
Probably
we can talk about the structural transformation later, but let's talk about the second year of ETP, where they came out with this report and they highlighted 10 key achievements, and I think we have slides for it. We can ask the viewers to look at it. From all these 10 highlighted ones, anything that intrigued you to actually comment on?
Well, you got the Competition Commission,
Right.
and that I think can be very useful if it is implemented properly. MACC was introduced also. That's corruption is a key area. There again, I was a chairman of one panel. After one term, I left because I feel we could have done much more, and we can do much more.
Okay.
So there are successes, and on the admission of Pemandu itself, and some failures. So what we need to do is push on the successful ones and really get the weaker areas reformed, revised, and to move forward with greater gusto.
Right. With the 10 key achievements that highlighted by the Pemandu, which being set by Senator Datuk Sri Idris Jalla, do you think how real is this number? I think that's the question they want to know. All this is what we have achieved, this is how many we have been this and doing that, but how real are the numbers?
I would not doubt the numbers.
Why? Why is that?
This is open to scrutiny by the World Bank, everybody.
Right.
You can't bluff with these kind of numbers. I think we must give credit where it's due.
Okay.
They have succeeded. But the only problem is, one, I think government doesn't have the neck of the private sector to publicize and promote what it has done. If there are doubts, you must correct the doubts. Like, for example, the data on crime. Now, government says the crime rates have gone down. But if you look at it, in some areas it's gone up.
True.
I mean, murders or robberies, I mean, those are serious things. I mean, nobody wants to be involved in that kind of thing. When they come in and chop your hand or leg or, threaten you with parangs. So people look at that, and it's a question of perception.
Yes.
So government must develop the art of explaining and being very, very open about it.
Transparent.
And transparent about it. And not, aggregating all the figures.
Right.
So that you don't see the real facts. The figures are not wrong, but the way they're presented may be questionable.
Is it wrong that they sort of hiding some of the facts?
Well, whether it is to hide or to is advertent or inadvertent,
Right.
it's difficult to say. But I can imagine that anybody giving statistics will want to put their best foot forward.
Right.
But that doesn't pay in the long run because people see through, and that's why you have the perception gap.
Okay. Right, we'll take a short break right now, and when we come back, we'll talk more with Tan Sri Raymond right here on BizTalk.